First of all, welcome back to the Sound Healing Conference for another presentation in more sound. Emile is a graduate of the Globe Institute and has been doing throat singing for quite a few years and has gone to Tuva by Mongolia and been studying and teaching throat singing as well, and he's quite amazing. So welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us about yourself, a little more about what you're up to these days.
Nowadays, I live in Hawaii, Maui specifically, and I teach classes over video primarily in overtone singing, throat singing, and how to open up the unique voice.
Cool. I would like to do a class with you.
It's focus on healing and empowerment, basically people realizing, and I know you know this very well, David, at how the voice is the most powerful healing tool, and everyone's is unique. Everyone carries its own unique frequencies and codes, and not only is the most empowering thing for the individual to bring it into the world, but it's the most powerful and healing thing one can do for the world. So it's this perfect blend of expansion of self and highest service to the world.
Cool. I've got a question I'm asking everybody in the conference now. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help the planet with sound?
I would, the first thing that comes to mind is this dream of gathering people in stadiums or holding stadium events of people toning together. And I think the resonance of people toning together in an intentional way is the most transformative thing I've ever seen or experienced to this day. And if people could just tune into how amazing that feels and how much it unlocks in themselves and in connection with community and the world, I think that would shift the paradigm on the planet fast.
Nice. Okay, we're set. Let's go ahead and have you do a little sound meditation for us.
Awesome. If anyone who's listening, this could just take a few deep breaths. And feel into your center, feel into your heart, feel into your highest intentions, and relax. Going on a 10 to 15 minute sound journey. There's nothing you have to do except be. Start to breathe deeply again. Appreciating this moment. All the sounds and healing that have happened and will happen during this conference and during your entire life. Thank you for being. Thank you for existing in this world. Thank you for bringing your unique frequencies onto the planet in everything you do. Just take a few more deep breaths, grounding and centering.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is a special edition of an interview with the Sound Healing Conference. Today, I am with Emile Janse, who is a overtone and a throat singer. This is truly the power of your voice. Emile, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me.
Tell us the importance of the overtones, why this is so rich, and how it is so beneficial for us to be able to be at peace with our voice and to be able to use our voice in an effective way.
One of the first things for everyone to realize is just how unique your voice is and how unique everyone's voice is. And that is a powerful representation of how we each show up individually in this world. So, the overtones themselves, on a very basic technical level, are extra frequencies that make up the unique signature of each person's voice. So, when we realize that, we realize being aware of overtones and the structure of our sound is bringing ourselves more and more into the world. And of course, there's many ways to bring ourselves more and more into the world, but the sound resonance is a very, very powerful one and very accessible.
Yes, there's truly something about using the voice to become very present. And this is where we can say, this is our divine voice. Talk a little bit about that aspect of the purity of the frequency that comes through us.
Yeah, well, we know sound is energy. We know we are energy. And we know that the divine is living through all of us. So, in expressing through our voice, in moving energy through our voice, we're really bringing that divine aspect of ourselves into the world. And it's that unique divine aspect as well. So, in the larger aspect of what I share, it's not about having a good voice. We're actually transcending concepts of good voice, bad voice, can sing, can't sing, into bring out the frequencies that only you have in this world, that are your unique expression of divinity. And to me, I do this because it is literally the most beautiful thing I ever hear in the world, everyone's unique voice coming through. So I'm really grateful to do that, and really grateful for the people that show up to open that up in themselves and share it with me, share it with themselves, and share themselves with the community to whatever they feel called. But any amount they open up the voice, they are inevitably going to be living in a higher layer of self-expression in all aspects of life, which is really, really beautiful.
So, opening up the voice is almost an embodiment of the higher self.
Yeah, it's
What,
allowing more of
yeah.
that high self to come through. Continue though, I just wanted to bring that quickly.
I love that so much. It's the divine voice. And yet, isn't it interesting, Emile, that boy, even when we were kids, we were, so many of us were stopped, shushed, hushed, or told we couldn't sing or had to take singing lesson. This is still present even in my life. I love to sing. It's not always on key, but that's where the toning comes forth. And I can share a story in a bit about my own experience of bringing forth a memory, a very old memory, and it came through toning. Before we get there, though, what is it that you see with your students and the people that you work with? What happens to shut down the voice?
Well, what has happened generally is very close to exactly what you just shared. There's a lot of cultural story, especially in the Western world, about one's voice being good or bad, or can sing, can't sing, this whole story, and really is just kind of a suppression of expression that's been going on for a while, that is encouraging people to, stay within a narrow pathway and not express their unique selves into the world, and express within the bandwidth that's considered acceptable by the common culture at the moment. So, almost everyone has this story to some degree. I was told I can't sing, I shouldn't sing, the equivalent of don't express yourself the way you really want to. And that, suppressed a lot of energy or natural power that everyone has. So the unwinding of that pretty quickly brings people into much fuller self-acceptance, much fuller ease with who they are, who we are, and greater capacity to be who they want to be in the world, which they already know. Just letting that be okay.
Yes, and so here you talk about the suppression of expression and how that literally blocks the flow of energy. And so this flowing of the voice, I'll share my story now. As I toned one day, I remembered standing on the shores of Lemuria, and I actually saw that it wasn't just society in this lifetime shushing me, it was myself and my own judgment. And remembering myself toning and singing, it did open up such an energy, not only in myself, but my animals, my dog and my cat, came in to the room, dog wagging tail and cat purring and meowing. The energy in the room totally shifted. I've actually taken this out in the field, out in the world, driving my car, toning in a high vibration, and a situation that could have been a traffic jam with 100 motorcycles out at a national park kept me in a vibration that we waved and talked to people. And the next thing I knew, I was promoted to the front of the line ahead of all the motorcycles. It's a vibrational reality. And what you're talking about is the voice helps us achieve that flow and that vibration.
Yeah, well, it definitely taps us into ease and allowing and being at peace with what's happening. And the best way for things to, shift into the next ideal circumstance is to be at peace with where we are right now. So that, yeah, that story feels very relevant to this and how we can, there's an aspect of generating peace, but also an aspect of moving whatever challenging energy we're in the moment, without judging it, which then brings us back into that peace and into that flow. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So, yeah, moving the energy with sound. This is really essential. If we're not feeling well, everyone should start humming and singing and dancing. Talk a little bit about how that moves out, or how someone feeling depressed or feeling sad, what can they do to begin to move that energy out? How do they use their voice? What do they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the main thing in that situation where someone is feeling depressed, unhappy, and sad in regards to the voice, if we wanted to use the voice to move or shift that energy, is to make the sound of what that feels like. We're not trying to be like, I'm sad, let's make a happy sound to shift that. Where I'm sad, let's experience that sadness energy through sound so it can really move. So, in that, because also we're told often in this culture, like, it's not okay to be sad, it's not okay to be depressed. And the truth is more like, it's okay to be where you're at, but allow that to configure itself into the next thing. And the way to configure it to the next thing is to really feel it, really allow it, because it can bring on, an incredible inspiration in the next moment. And through sound, through the expression of it, and also I go into this as well in my classes, the kind of the somatic experience of sound as a vibration, not just something that we hear, but something that we feel through the whole body. And I feel like you've probably had some experiences with that too. When you tone and you feel heat or energy or vibration through your body or in specific places. So there's also this balance between intuition and intention that you can do when you tone, that I share with students and clients, because I want to empower everyone to recognize how to use the voice, as we're speaking about, to do their own healing work and do their own expressive work, so that when they are stuck, for in one instance, in sadness or depression, they can feel it, they can move it, they can allow it, and let themselves, I want to say shift, but yeah, let themselves move the energy into the next, highest expression that they're going to have.
Yes, isn't it amazing though that as children, or some of the natural words like, oh, some of the moans and the groans, and yet there's a part of us that are still shy or hesitant to make sounds like that, right? Maybe it's societal programmings, or it sounds sexy or something like that, but it really is that the liberation of the voice. And so when you feel those somatic sensations, that really is energy moving in the body. Would you say that it's moving out the density of that emotion?
Yeah, you could say it's loosening up the density. Uh, and when something becomes loose again, then it can move.
Do people need to cry or just follow it all out? Maybe dance or throw plates or pillows, right? Other
Yeah,
ways to get the energy out.
yeah, all those things might be what's appropriate. Yeah, maybe not the throwing plates as much, but observing the desire to throw plates and making the sound of it. Yeah.
There is a therapy on that too, which is very cathartic, I suppose. And so you mentioned that there has to be this balance between the intuition and the intention. Can you talk a little bit more about that? So it's a focus really of concentration to really know that you're doing something. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, for one to trust that we have a guidance that will guide us into using the sounds that are most effective or therapeutic for the moment for us. So that's the intuitive aspect, and that's the, getting out of the way and letting, you could say, our higher self move through us with sound. And the intention is also that. But I think I was one thing I was kind of wanting to say is like the you can engage your reasoning or logical mind in such a way that the concentration of tuning into where you feel vibration in the body and then shifting the tones so that where you feel it is moving too. And that can be a very profound meditative experience, which could be loud or soft. But then it's kind of using the intuition to decide where you want to move the energy, and then using your own recognition that you can move the energy to do so.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay. And you go deep in this topic with your students. And we're going to talk a little bit more about ways that people can work with you to really feel that vibration and to sense it. Let's talk now about overtone singing, because this is really fascinating. When we hear it, it just sounds amazing. And it's a structure within the mouth as well, right? Can you explain what is overtone singing?
So, overtone singing is isolating the isolation of certain frequencies within the sounds we're already making, and to make that a little even more simpler, as we were talking earlier about, our voice has many sounds coming out of it already. That's why my voice is distinct from your voice, is distinct from anyone else's voice on the planet. So the additional frequencies that are of a higher register can be isolated by making certain shapes with the tongue, lips, mouth, and throat. And you're kind of like catching the wavelength frequency of those overtones and amplifying them. But we always want to remember that those sounds are already there. We're not producing new sounds so much as we are isolating the frequencies that are already present. And they're often there, and they're of a much higher frequency, general, much a higher pitch, and yeah, and very, very unique to hear them on their own through the voice generally.
Right. And it is really interesting to hear it as well. So before you give us a sample of overtone singing, what's throat? Is it the same? Is throat singing the same? Or can you give us samples of both?
I can give you samples of both. There's
And so,
there's
what is
a
throat singing? Like your normal speaking voice seems to be very centered in the heart, or in the throat, like mine as well. I have a lower voice, and sometimes you hear people that get way up here, and we can see that they're even talking in their head, right? So, what is throat singing?
so Throat singing is, so there's a couple like distinctions that are made within the throat singing and overtone singing categories based on where it comes from and the techniques around it. Throat singing is often encompasses overtone singing when it's done by the people of the Tuvan, Mongolian, and Siberian areas, because the way they produce overtones is to use a certain kind of throat drone. They also throat sing in a style that sounds very much like certain kinds of Tibetan chant, which you may or may not, and our viewers may or may not be familiar with. And it's very, very deep and comes from like an entirely different resonance and register than our singing or speaking voice. It's also connected to how their language works. Uh, when I practice that style of very deep resonance throat singing, and my overtone singing is not done as much with a throat drone like theirs. I practice with more of a both throaty and nasally drone, because I found that for myself and for most people that have grown up with Western language and Western sounds, that is a more easy and effective way to isolate and work with overtones.
All right. Well, we are excited then. So, a throat, that's like show us what a throat.
Throat singing. Vibrating here very intensely, and it's the way I get people started. The thing it's most like is taking a growl and then learning to stabilize that growl.
And do you find when people do that, that they start coughing because it tickles? So what's going on there? I mean, physically, you're changing that, you're waking that up. It's never really been something like that. What's the spiritual side of that? Do you know?
I couldn't say for sure, and I think it's different for different people. Something is getting woken up, something is getting activated that's not tuned into very much, and there's this paradoxical experience of putting this really intense pressure and tension there while simultaneously trying to be as relaxed as possible. And it's that, attempt to bring together two polarities that makes it possible. And people do, the start of it is often accompanied by coughing, because it also vibrates very intensely a place which might have some stuff stuck in it or just is not used to being worked with or accessed in that way. So some things do clear up. It can be emotional or physical or both. For me personally, when I'm toning to just move energy in myself, sometimes it comes through at a moment when, yeah, when I would say I do want to feel a very physical resonance with the earth. In sharing, I'm very particular about when I share it, especially if it's a sound meditation, because it is very intense, and I want it to align with the moment perfectly if it's going to come through. Yeah, but it does have a potential to move very specific energies that aren't affected by very many other things.
That shows the power of it. And I love how you treat it so sacredly. It's not for public consumption for the most part, right?
Yeah, not as much, I would
Mhm.
say.
And so let's go to the overtone singing. This is really fascinating. It's an isolation of a frequency. Can you give us an example of what that's like?
So it starts with a what I call a overtone rich drone, and this is why the throaty sound or the nasally sound is very important, because the reason that a sound sounds throaty or sound sounds nasally is because it's many sounds or vibrations on top of each other all at once. So in a way, it almost sounds off-putting to our Westernly attuned ear because it's many sounds that usually we would hear at different moments altogether. But what that means is there's many, many overtones within that sound. And when you have many overtones within that sound, there's more that you can isolate individually. So it's okay if I just go into a little bit of a demonstration of a nasally. So a throaty sound would be kind of like, and that's more how the Tuvans and Mongolians and Siberians sing, the nomadic cultures of the Siberian regions. And a nasally sound is more like her. And from there, then I use primarily the spacing between my lips and my tongue, and also the back of the throat, to create different intervals that will isolate the harmonics. And it's both intuitive and technical, and also very much a listening practice, because like I was saying earlier, we all are already making overtones with our speaking and singing voice all the time. We just don't register they're there. So being able to hear them in our own voice is the first step, because then once you notice them, then you can work with them and see, okay, if I change this shape with my lips or my tongue, then it does that. And in the initial phases of learning, that's something that me as a teacher can really help someone move along with really quickly, because I'm like, okay, right there, you did something and the sound changed. Did you hear that? How the overtone shifted from here to here. And then once that happens, then there's other ways that can support bringing the sounds out in a more audible way. So should I go ahead and do some overtone singing? Does that feel good? Okay. So I'll do a drone, and then I'll add in some overtones, and then I'll see kind of where my vocal register wants to go right now. But I'll start just kind of by showing a scalar up and down. So that was, two different drones where then the overtones could move, and each drone has a different set of overtones that comes through with it.
Yeah, it is amazing. How long did it take you to learn that?
I've been practicing about 7 years now. But within about a year to 2 years, I could hear the overtones pretty well in myself. And from all of the extensive trial and error that I've done, I have been able to elevate people through the practice much more quickly, which I think is really amazing. So I let people know I did the hard work.
Yeah, so that we could all get through it a lot faster. All right, it is totally amazing. Now, when you overtone sing like that, when you're overtoning and what do you feel in your body, in your life, as a side effect, as a benefit from that? What happens to you?
Well, a part of it I see is just, my larger sense of vocal expression is enhanced, because just to give a little background on that, overtone singing was my way into being intrigued by the voice. And once I realized how amazing the voice could be just to do that, I realized that there was so much more. And so I see it like as a beautiful thing, which is not necessary to a sound practice, but is something which is powerful within my own and adds to the freedom of expression that I feel I've cultivated in this world.
Yes, beautiful. Your freedom of expression through your voice. So, overtone singing is something that you help people get equipped with in their own life, in their own way. And we're going to play a musical piece from you just as a nice high vibrational presence setting. But before we go, we want to have you talk about the online class that you've got. This is beautiful. This is Transformational Vocal Alchemy. And this is actually 5 sessions with you in live webinars. And this is where someone can really harness the power of their unique voice. So share with us what happens in this next course.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful gathering of souls, of people coming that want to learn more about their own voice and how to access its powers for healing and empowerment. Uh, so in these 5 group sessions, I, lay some context for why this works, and we go into experiencing different sounds that I know bring a lot of vibratory stimulation in the body. And it's also good to note, one thing that's great about these Zoom formats is that everyone's muted. So you get to be in your own space practicing sound, which is great when because that's a really great place to initially work with sound from, is a very personal, not like concerned about how it sounds to other people. So we work with certain exercises and experience how the vibrations feel, and then we go into more intuitively based exercises where it's more like tuning into an emotion or feeling and working with the sound of that. And then I also give various vocal or other instrument, usually vocal activations through my own voice to people at different stages. And towards the end, we also start to get into some partner exercises where people learn how to use sound as an intuitive way to work with energy in each other. And that is really beautiful because there's this fine level of intuitive information that is also transferred through the voice. The voice is very, very vulnerable. Another thing about why our expression was shut down is because it tells people a lot about who we are without, on a very unconscious level. So when you're more tuned into your voice, you're living yourself more fully and people are seeing you. So it's something that lets you be very, very seen, felt, heard, however you want to put it. And when we do that with another person, you're transmitting and receiving a lot of energy when we tone back and forth with another person. And people end up feeling, deeply connected in a very safe and grounded way. Because the language of tone and sound is one that we all know cross-culturally. It goes beyond language, and that's another thing that I do my best to expose people to recognizing.
Yes, beautiful. So that course is available and your next course starts soon. The dates are here on this webpage. We're very excited about that because, again, this authentic voice, the power of our voice to be able to speak and recognize the frequencies of our voice and to be able to express it so freely is truly healing. And then when we take it out into the world, that is how we change the world. And with the polarized world that is right now, this voice that's calm, this voice that's heart centered, this present voice is the voice that gets heard. And it is the voice of, would you say, reason? It's the voice of the divine, it's the voice of our higher self.
Yeah, I would say it's the voice of truth, which is connected to all of those things. And it is what is needed more and more and most in this world, and what is and does have the potential to even more rapidly shift the culture and consciousness into something where we are all working, living in harmony, and bringing our fullest selves into the world. So, yeah, and that's why I'm so, grateful and honored for everyone that chooses to open themselves up in this way, because it is such a blessing in the world and ripples a lot. And also wanted to mention that within this course there's also 2 private sessions with me included.
Yeah. And those are actually the most beneficial in my view, because of that level of privacy for us to express in a way that's very sacred, and it's really not for public consumption. And that personal journey opens us up to just our own memories, like my memory of Lemuria, and just how I myself judged my own voice in this lifetime. So it's beautiful to return back to that. And Emile's program, again, is here. Sign up for it. You will get an immediate email with the connection link for that. Those sessions are recorded. So if people can't be there live, of course it's there, but you guys want to be here live with Emile, and also catch those 2 personal sessions. I do have to say that those 2 personal sessions with you is almost like the course itself. I mean, that's like the value in itself, and the courses that go along are nice gravy on top. So this is pretty powerful. Anything else you want to add about that course?
One one quality of the voice is, and this kind of ties into how it's also somatically felt in our body, but it's also a resonance in our energetic field. So when we make sound and are expressing through the voice, our energy field around our body literally gets stronger. And there's certain ways that I guide people in how to experience that, into like sensing the chi in your hands, and then when you make sound you can feel that it literally gets stronger, and that increased vibration is tangible to the world around you. So if one wants to have a larger presence, one way to do that is to access more sound within the voice. And again, though, it's not like we're trying to make ourselves more strongly felt, but it's the ability to be fully self-expressed if it's the right moment for us to be so. And that, fineness of attention is also something that we just get more attuned to with this kind of work. So yeah, that's about the auric field. And I also wanted to add a little technical detail for anyone that's wondering, that no special equipment is needed for the course. There's just one simple zoom setting that I guide people in changing so that the sound picks up a little more accurately. But all you really need is a computer or a phone, and it's fantastic.
Okay. Well, this sounds exciting. Emile, thank you for offering this course. People can sign up for that on this webpage, of course, and get started right away. Thank you so much for sharing this wisdom and for really helping people get in touch with this authentic voice. You really are helping change the world for the better. Absolutely love it. Thank you. Now we're going to leave everyone with a beautiful few musical pieces here.
Yes, thank you for this time to share and bring the knowing and understanding of what we can do with our own sound into the world. Thank you very much.
Emile Janse, you are a humble overtone singer and throat singer, and we are so grateful for your wisdom that you shared with us today. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, Lauren.
Again, Emile's special offer is available on this webpage, and we invite you to sign up. We are excited for you finding your authentic voice. Thank you. Learn more about Emile Janse's Transformational Vocal Alchemy online course. Visit bit.ly/soundemile, Emile. Thank you for listening.